The story begins with a massive attack by a terrible creature. An exorcist fights alone against it even though he has extraordinary power to defeat all his enemies easily. Unfortunately, that night, he, touted as a great man in history, lost everything due to an excessive craving for power and made the Empire his enemy. He decided to try again by reincarnating himself into another world as the third son named Saikyou. He is a descendant of a noble family who has expertise in magic. Saikyou has no magic energy like his brother because he was born from a concubine. Saikyou is often teased and played with by his brother Gray. Even though he doesn't have magic energy, his body is filled with curse energy. This power suits a former exorcist like his, so he can summon evil spirits with leaves. Now Saikyou is 7 years old, and Gray is very confident in his magic power. He uses it to taunt Saikyou, who has no magic energy. Gray and Luft will practice their magic power before their father that day. The two brothers could control the magic well, and Gray tried to challenge Saikyou so that he would also try it. Saikyou accepted his challenge by showing blue flame magic to surprise them. After that, Saikyou told his father he also wanted to learn magic, but the request was rejected because there was no history of witches being born without magic. Instead, they would be given a private tutor. Saikyou happily accepted because he could learn about the world. When Saikyou was 11 years old, he tried to summon the spirit that had once been tamed by him, namely the fox spirit Yuki. The summoning was arguably successful, but because of the world's influence, it made her form into a child his age. Then Gray scolded a slave girl named Yifa because Yifa made a mistake. Gray took advantage of the opportunity to harass her. Knowing this, Saikyou immediately defended her. He would not let Yifa be harassed. After that, Yifa thanked Saikyou and thought Saikyou was a great person even though he couldn't do magic. Saikyou says he already knows Yifa is special because she can see and talk to spirits. Saikyou tried to test her by summoning a spirit ball and asking Yifa to put it out. After many attempts, Yifa put out the fire with her words. Since then, they have practiced so much that it doesn't feel like they have gone through a year. At the age of 12, there was an incident where a monster attacked them. While the others fled to safety, Saikyou rushed out to fight the monster. Saikyou tried to bring the monster to a place where everyone could see it and defeated it with one strike. Saikyou's plan to get everyone's attention worked. Everyone admired him and thought he defeated the monster in one go. They had a meal with his father, thanks to his victory in fighting the monster. According to his father, defeating such a creature was difficult even for veterans. Therefore, he felt obliged to give him a gift. Saikyou had a request. He had spent time studying magic alone as an honorable family member. He wanted his powers to be useful and asked permission to enroll in the Rodnia Magic Academy. His father accepted the request, but Saikyou had one more request. He wanted Yifa to enter the academy with him as an attendant. His father refused because she had no magical talent, but Yifa could use the power of spirits. Yifa has practiced controlling nature spirits, so Yifa can show that she can use intermediate level magic. That way, his request is accepted, while Gray protests because his opportunity to study there was taken away by his adopted brother. Because he does not accept, Gray challenges Saikyou to a duel. The winner will enroll in the Magic Academy. If Saikyou loses, he must leave the house. But Gray was impatient to duel with him immediately, and Saikyou was challenged to a duel in front of the house regardless of the conditions given by his father. Gray immediately casts medium-level magic, but his attack does not work against Saikyou. Using an amulet, Saikyou locks Gray's movements. When Gray cannot move, he threatens him while breaking his hand. Finally, Gray admitted his defeat and fainted. Besides that, Saikyou also healed him so as not to cause other problems. During spring, Saikyou and Yifa will leave for the academy. While on the way, Saikyou gives Yifa a magic stone because if Yifa gets stronger, Saikyou will benefit greatly. At the same time, his father is thinking about Saikyou. Depending on his condition, Saikyou can become a hero who protects the country or become a demon king who destroys the world. Saikyou and Yifa have arrived at the inn and will stay overnight. Because Yifa's status is a slave and her master is Saikyou, Yifa has fallen in love with him, utilizing her position as a slave to get Saikyou to make love with her. Unfortunately, Saikyou doesn't understand Yifa's desires, leaving her disappointed. The next day, they left for the academy. The first test they had to pass was to measure magic power. When hearing that Saikyou came from a noble family, people expected a lot from him, but everyone was immediately disappointed because he had no magic energy. Then, a girl who was a commoner tried to register. The result was that she had strong energy and mastered all the elements at once. Saikyou is attracted to her because, at first glance, he feels her appearance resembles someone he knows. After that, Yifa was worried about her written exam results. While Saikyou was doing well, he encouraged Yifa to improve in the practical exam. During the practical exam, each participant only showed one element. The results also looked ordinary. When Yifa's turn came, she surprised everyone with her power. Besides fire magic, she also mastered wind element magic, which was amazing. Saikyou shows the elements of fire, earth, water, and ice. He makes everyone shocked and confused because his magic power is unique. Besides the two of them, there was another student named Onmyouji. She was so talented she managed to destroy all objects and master all the elements. The exam results were released. Saikyou was ranked 3rd, Yifa was ranked 2nd, and Onmyouji was in 1st place. After that, they attended the entrance ceremony. On the way, Saikyou and Yifa found a suspicious magic circle. Just in case, Saikyou prepared a talisman there. Then Onmyouji said the opening greeting to represent the new students. Suddenly, a monster appeared from the magic circle, and they entered the school hall. The students tried to fight the monster, but their attacks were useless because their magic abilities were weak. While Onmyouji faced the monsters, Saikyou checked the magic circle to find the main cause. Saikyou found a metal demon that could summon monsters using the gates of another dimension. Saikyou took one of the monsters summoned by his enemy, and then he tried to attack it using several talismans. But the demon could use teleportation magic. Saikyou was instead cornered and famously attacked deadly. For a moment, Saikyou looked dead, but in fact, he was still standing there without the slightest injury. The demon did not understand why Saikyou was alive again. Then Saikyou tried to trick him by pretending to be hit by his attack and summoned a dragon to devour the demon to death. After defeating the demon, Saikyou returned to the school hall, and Yifa told him that Onmyouji had defeated the demon alone. A month after entering the academy, Saikyou found a goal to achieve. His plan was just to be friends with strong people and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Onmyouji has the potential to be the strongest person, but he has difficulty befriending her because Onmyouji is unfriendly and difficult to approach. Then, the teacher asks Onmyouji and Saikyou to help deliver the name list as an offering. Saikyou uses the opportunity to get close to her. When the day of the ceremony arrives, they head to the temple in the forest, and Onmyouji asks Saikyou's true purpose. Onmyouji thinks Saikyou isn't satisfied with big-boobed slaves and wants to touch a classmate too. Saikyou says his relationship with Yifa isn't like that, but Onmyouji still thinks Saikyou has been indecent with her. On the way, they find a magic circle. Suddenly, the magic circle activates and moves them both into the dungeon. Onmyouji attacks the monsters there, and Saikyou also helps her. There was a figure that looked stronger coming towards them. Onmyouji faced it confidently, and because of her negligence, she was hit. While Onmyouji was unconscious, Saikyou used the opportunity to unleash his true power and summon a giant centipede to fight all the enemies. Afterward, he accompanied Onmyouji until she woke up and Saikyou healed her. But even though the wound was healed, Onmyouji still felt pain in the head. It turned out that the pain was caused by the effect of the curse. Onmyouji asked Saikyou to check her body in a part she couldn't see. Unfortunately, Saikyou also found no sign of the curse. Saikyou took out an amulet to replace the pain. Putting it aside, Onmyouji again brought up his relationship with Yifa. Then, Saikyou and Onmyouji find the boss's dungeon room. There is a giant monster, and they decide to fight it. Onmyouji uses wind magic to attract attention. At that moment, Saikyou attacks him with a spear, and then Onmyouji blows him up using fire magic. They manage to defeat the dungeon boss, and Onmyouji immediately hugged Saikyou happily while saying that the two of them were very compatible. Then they found a mithril sword and magic ring, and finally, they got out of the dungeon safely. Saikyou went to the person who was the mastermind, a teacher at the academy. Saikyou immediately killed him mercilessly because he was the demon spy who caused the recent incident. A year had passed, and they were in grade 2. Saikyou and Yifa were asked to come to the academy head's room. When meeting, Saikyou realized that the head of the academy was not human. She was a dwarf who belonged to the demon group. The head of the academy told them to join the tournament held in the capital. Even the school would send a new student named Mabel. Onmyouji was jealous of them as the student with the highest score felt dissatisfied because she was not invited. While walking in the academy yard, Onmyouji talked about the ugliness of the new student chosen by the principal because she did not accept Mabel and denied her words by calling Onmyouji weak and talkative. Onmyouji was annoyed with her and challenged her to a sword duel. Onmyouji immediately attacked first, but Mabel could parry her attack using dark magic, making her lose quickly. After defeating Onmyouji, Mabel warned Saikyou to withdraw right now. She said it was not an ordinary tournament without anyone getting hurt. Despite being warned Saikyou would still join the tournament, they left for the capital by riding a horse-drawn carriage with others. Upon arrival at the capital, Mabel immediately left while Saikyou was still on the train because he was still motion sick. After finishing his business, Saikyou said he would rest at the inn even though he was originally going to find out why the academy had sent him. Then, the capital tournament began, and each participant was allowed to use magic or weapons. Saikyou's first match was against a mercenary. He felt lucky because he was fighting a nobleman's son in the first round. He was very confident that he could kill 10 witches at once before they finished casting spells, but Saikyou dodged him very quickly when he attacked and threw him out of the arena.
Sayonara. Yo no so. Hakkei no jutsu.
The crowd didn't know what happened but cheered immediately because the fight was amazing. The next match was a thriller. A young man stopped his enemy's movement and killed him in front of everyone. Despite the casualties, the match continued. Seeing his ability, Saikyou was convinced that the young man was an evil eye user. Saikyou's second round match faced a witch using a golem immune to magic, so Saikyou summoned a spirit to destroy the golem instantly. Yifa was very worried about her master's condition after seeing someone die in the match. She tried to persuade Saikyou to resign but said everything would be fine because Saikyou thought this match was like playing with a small dog. The next match is between Mabel and an experienced witch. The witch launched an attack with medium magic, but because Mabel could slash his attack easily, he began to close the upper-level magic spells. Upper-level magic requires complicated spells and long recitations, while Mabel can attack continuously using gravity magic. She increased the weight of her weapon as a result. No matter how hard the opponent's defense could be destroyed easily. Seeing Mabel's ability, people began to call her a hero because her name and appearance were similar to heroes in history. In the evening, someone sent a message to a pigeon. Saikyou approached him and asked about the message's contents. Saikyou had been watching them lately, and because they wouldn't answer his questions, Saikyou summoned Satori to ask his soul. Satori is a summoned being who has the power to read minds. With this, Saikyou can find out the purpose of the actions they have been doing. It turns out that everything is related to the hero because of the demon spies who were previously defeated. They watched Mabel and suspected her of being a new hero. After getting this information, Saikyou gave the person to Satori to be eaten by him. Then Mabel told Saikyou to retreat. Unfortunately, Saikyou refused to retreat if she wanted to win the match. He wanted to be defeated fairly and honestly. Next, there was a match between the Magic Knight and the assassin named Kyle. He uses protective magic to avoid the influence of his evil eye. Even though his evil eye has no effect, Kyle can use gravitational darkness magic and attack with shadows. In the end, Kyle won and stepped into the final round. That night, Mabel suddenly attacked brutally, but Saikyou realized this so he could immediately avoid it. When Mabel realized her plan didn't work, she chose to run away. Saikyou didn't just let her go, he went back to see her to ask why Mabel was doing something like that. It turns out that Mabel is Onmyouji's replacement. Her job is to win the tournament, become the hero, and attract the attention of the Demon Nation. That way, Onmyouji, as the real hero, is not targeted by the Demon Nation. In addition, Mabel also aims to defeat Kyle, her older brother, and free him from the mercenaries' influence. After listening to her story, Saikyou decided to stay in the match. He would defeat Kyle in the final round. In Saikyou's semi-final match against Mabel, Mabel uses her original weapon and no longer pretends to be a hero. Even so, Saikyou has various ways to defeat her. He uses amulets to weigh down her weapon and then stops her movement by using vines. Finally, he put a weapon to her neck so that the committee could end the match. Saikyou managed to qualify for the final round, and he will fight against Kyle. When the match started, Saikyou immediately used a thick fog to cover his opponent's view so Kyle could not use the evil eye. Then Saikyou summoned a powerful evil spirit. The attack launched by the creature made Kyle helpless until he lost consciousness. Suddenly, the curse inside his body was active, knowing that Saikyou had made a barrier to stop the curse. Unfortunately, it was still not enough, and Kyle died there. Saikyou was upset and intended to revive him.
そう、前世で最強となった僕なら死人を蘇らせることくらい。
Yuki tried to calm him down because if Saikyou did that, his power would be revealed, and his efforts so far would be useless. This way, the match was over and Saikyou became the winner. After that, Saikyou went straight to Mabel. He told her brother's last words about apologizing to Mabel. Mabel already had no purpose, so Saikyou persuaded her to return to the academy and become their friend. Returning to the academy without any problems, the principal was satisfied with the results. The school could save Mabel thanks to Saikyou, and the enemy lost its strongest person. The principal cares about Mabel because she is blessed with power. Besides that, she can also be used to hide the hero's whereabouts. During summer vacation, Saikyou was suddenly asked by the Kingdom of Astilia to investigate dragons. Amu and Mabel wanted to go with him, but because their parents were waiting for her, Saikyou forbade them. Saikyou only took Yifa on the trip while the others vacationed at their respective homes. Then, the Prince of Astilia, named Cecilio, came to see Saikyou. He wanted to discuss the work that he would do. The Astilia dragon had coexisted with the residents for hundreds of years, but the dragon had been acting strangely and causing much harm over the past year. Therefore, Saikyou was assigned to go to the Astilia region to check it out. Besides having business with Saikyou, the prince was also interested in Yifa and even wanted to make her part of his royal harem and become one of his wives. Yifa refused, but Cecilio did not seem to give up and planned to snatch Yifa. This made Saikyou and the others worried that Cecilio would do indecent things to her. After arriving at the old capital of Astilia, they immediately met a dragon flying around the area. A mercenary chased the dragon away using a summoned animal, endangering the people around him. The incident almost injured Yifa, so Saikyou did not accept it and questioned why Cecilio hired rude people like them. Cecilio's reason for hiring mercenaries was to kill the dragon. He thought that was the only way to solve this problem. Saikyou doubts the ability of the mercenaries, so he asks Cecilio to consider it. The next day, Saikyou decided to look at the documents about dragons in the library. He got information that situations like this had happened in the past. The dragon strengthened its guard because it was laying eggs. After knowing this, Saikyou will confirm it by seeing the nest directly. In the evening, Cecilio ordered his servant to invite Yifa to his room. It looks like this stupid prince is trying to fuck Yifa. Of course, Yifa doesn't want to obey him and prefers to sleep in Saikyou's room because she is afraid to be alone. Saikyou brought up her problem with the prince. He asked Yifa to be honest because being the prince's concubine was an honor. These words made Yifa sad that Saikyou did not need her and wanted to let her go with the prince. In the morning, Yuki told Saikyou he had been cruel to Yifa. Yuki realized that the girl liked Saikyou, but Saikyou still didn't believe her. After that, Saikyou explained that he would visit the mountain where the dragon lived. The foolish prince thinks Saikyou won't be back in a few days, so he will use the opportunity to persuade Yifa to become his concubine. When Yifa was alone, one of the prince's servants, Lies, came to talk to her. She said Saikyou was a monster of unknown origin, even though the spirit stayed away from him. Rather than becoming a slave, Lies suggested Yifa become one of the prince's concubines. The concubines in question were not as imagined. They were just a group of selected girls studying for a career in the kingdom. But the prince fell in love with Yifa, so he did various things so that Yifa became his. When Saikyou arrives at the dragon's lair, he meets a dragon protecting her egg. At first, the dragon was wary of him, but after Saikyou took care of the egg, the dragon became calmer, and finally, Saikyou became good friends with the dragon. Then Cecilio decided to free Yifa's status as Saikyou's slave. Knowing that Yifa refused to be freed, she could not do anything because they forced her. Yifa was forced to complete the release documents without the consent of her master.
一緒に来てくれ。
Fortunately, Saikyou came at the right time. Riding a dragon, he invited Yifa to come with him to check the dragon eggs. Saikyou's arrival made Yifa very happy, and she immediately accepted his invitation. She also told them that she liked Saikyou. Yifa and Saikyou ride the dragon together. When they are in the dragon's lair, mercenaries are suddenly attacking them. It seems they have lied to the prince and intend to steal the dragon egg. Saikyou couldn't leave it at that. With the help of Yifa, the enemy summoned animals were repulsed and defeated until nothing was left.
そうそう。逃げるのはなしだよ。
飛ばしてやる。
After capturing the mercenaries, Saikyou brought them before the prince. He also submitted a report on the dragon, which had been acting strangely lately. Despite being told that the dragon was tending to an egg, Prince Cecilio still asked Saikyou to kill it. He wanted to make this case a real achievement so that he could be accepted as crown prince. Saikyou refused his request because he did not accept that Cecilio would hold him on false charges and take Yifa. With this, we can learn not to let fools rule. Saikyou immediately said all his frustrations and that he would not give Yifa to a fool like him. Seeing that, Lise laughed and stopped the dispute. Yifa said she was honored but refused his offer and chose to return to the academy with Saikyou. Before going home, Lise gives her a rare type of spirit that can recover. Besides that, Lise also hopes that Yifa can live happily with the person she loves. Then, Saikyou asked Onmyouji for help meeting his family. Onmyouji was surprised to think it was a marriage proposal. But Saikyou had received a letter from his father inviting them to the house during spring break. Mabel also came with them. Upon arriving at his family's residence, Saikyou introduces his friends, and then Gray arrives and suddenly invites him to a duel. Apparently, he still hasn't forgotten the incident when Saikyou defeated him. But Onmyouji decided to be his opponent, and they dueled without using magic. Gray launched a deceptive attack and instantly defeated Onmyouji. After that, Gray challenged Saikyou to fight with him, but the holy princess named Fiona came to stop them. The reason Onmyouji was invited to Saikyou's house was a request from Fiona. She wanted to meet a hero-like person and make it her knighthood. Unfortunately, it was tough, so she requested to accompany her back to the capital. Then Onmyouji came to see Saikyou in his room. Onmyouji wanted to know what Saikyou would do after graduation. Related, they had promised to go on an adventure. Onmyouji wanted to make sure Saikyou still remembered the promise. It turns out that Saikyou still remembers it anyway. He needs someone stronger than him to hide his true power. The next day, Saikyou accompanied Fiona around the city, while Gray and Onmyouji accompanied her to replace the guards. Fiona invites Saikyou to hold hands so they don't separate. This makes Fiona feel happy because they look like a couple. Suddenly, building materials fell on Fiona. Gray and Onmyouji quickly protected her. But Fiona felt disappointed because Saikyou was silent and did nothing even though Fiona really hoped Saikyou would be the first to save her. Realizing that Saikyou gave a gift to Fiona and hoped she would cheer up and forget about the problem just now. In the afternoon, Saikyou came to Gray, who was training. Gray said he was chosen as the princess's bodyguard, not because of his abilities. Gray feels that Fiona chose him because she has a specific purpose. Actually, Fiona can see the future and predict the birth of the hero and the Demon King. Fiona seems to like Saikyou so much that she looks for him everywhere and wants to chat with him, while Saikyou avoids her and doesn't want to get involved with her because she could be a threat. Onmyouji suggested accompanying Fiona as she was lonely with no one to keep her company. Saikyou accepted the suggestion and met Fiona, who was playing chess alone. Fiona is very good at chess and invites Saikyou to play with her. She even bets that the loser must obey the winner's wishes. While playing chess, Saikyou asks if Fiona will use her powers to help the Empire. Fiona denies it because even though she can see the future, it cannot be changed, so she chooses to live according to her will. After Fiona defeats Saikyou in a chess game, she immediately thinks of what to ask Saikyou. Meanwhile, a group of demons carried out a massacre. They had eliminated everyone in the vicinity. One could judge strength, and he intended to use that power to gather troops and attack the hero. A few days later, Saikyou prepared to deliver the princess to the capital, escorted by troops in many horse carriages. On the way, there was a group of bandits who targeted them. Saikyou immediately got out of the carriage. He deliberately stood on the horse carriage to lure the enemy to focus on attacking him. Then, when all the enemies had run out of arrows, Gray ordered his troops to fight back. Ultimately, they managed to capture all the bandits and were taken to the capital. Fiona will investigate who has ordered them to be used as evidence against her political enemies. Arriving at the capital, Fiona told Saikyou she was on his side, and Fiona asked him not to forget that. After saying that, Fiona returned to the Imperial Palace. Saikyou was asked by the principal to do the new student acceptance speech. Usually, Saikyou refuses to do such a flashy task, but this time, he accepts it to look like a normal person. Moments later, the group of demons targeting Onmyouji arrived at the academy. The group's captain was very confident they could complete the mission because even though his opponent was the hero, he thought the hero was still a child. They infiltrated the academy and found a thick fog around them, and none of them could even see the hero. It turned out that Saikyou had done something so that the group of demons was trapped there. While Mabel sensed something dangerous and went straight out of the academy hall, she met one of the demons. Their fighting strength was balanced, but the demon resisted magic, so Saikyou overwhelmed and saved Mabel. Realizing something was off, the demons gathered, and their captain decided to abort the mission. Unfortunately, Saikyou would not let them escape from there. As a demon who can judge a person's strength, he was speechless when he saw Saikyou's strength. He immediately despaired because the person they were fighting was the most terrible demon king who sided with humans, while his subordinates tried to attack, but none of the attacks worked. Even Saikyou could overcome the attacks from the power of the evil eye. Saikyou summons a giant snake with the ability of the evil's eye, and the result is a demonic gaze that is so strong it causes his opponent pain that it stops his heartbeat. Saikyou insists they won't be able to kill the hero because he is protecting her. In the end, the demons were successfully destroyed. Mabel immediately came to him and asked Saikyou where the demon that had attacked her was. Saikyou asked her not to worry because all the demons had been defeated. Furniture was also asked to keep this incident a secret from others. The students gathered at the new student acceptance event and enjoyed the various foods provided by the academy. When Saikyou was about to give a speech, knights suddenly came looking for Onmyouji. They had been ordered to arrest Onmyouji on charges of committing a significant crime for killing a demon messenger. Saikyou realized it was a false accusation, so he stayed calm and avoided the commotion. Then Saikyou met the principal. She explained that the Empire tried to kill the hero, so Saikyou wanted to know why. The principal did not answer satisfactorily, so Saikyou decided to save Onmyouji alone. Saikyou summoned the dragon snake and went to where Onmyouji was imprisoned. It didn't take long for Saikyou to get to the castle and immediately confronted the guards. Castle guards call for reinforcements in large numbers. Unfortunately, no matter how many troops are deployed, Saikyou cannot be stopped. He can parry all attacks easily, retaliate with terrible magic power, and slaughter the entire army without mercy. After that, Saikyou managed to find Onmyouji, but Onmyouji did not want to run away with him for fear that Saikyou's family would be involved. Saikyou explains that she is a human hero who reincarnates every 100 years at the same time as the Demon King. The reason why Onmyouji will be killed is that those without power are very afraid of people who have power, so Saikyou asks her to run away. If she stays there, she will definitely be killed. Gray and Fiona meet them there. Fiona explains the history of the land. She thinks that the Demon King and hero are relics of the past. Both sides want peace, but rumors about the hero's appearance bring the potential for war. Because of that, the demons try to kill her so that there is no war, and the two sides remain at peace as they are now. They have the same desire, therefore, they eliminate the existence of heroes. Even so, Fiona tries to get Onmyouji released immediately.
君たちの一体何を信じろと言うんだ?
But Saikyou doesn't believe her words. Saikyou chooses to take Onmyouji away, while Fiona is disappointed that Saikyou doesn't trust her. However, she supports his decision and helps them escape by providing enough supplies. This makes Saikyou realize that Fiona is still on his side. In exchange for not complying with her request, Saikyou uses his power to raise all the troops that have been defeated. Fiona told them to immediately go to the Free City. Then Fiona talked to a mysterious shadow figure. Fiona told the shadow that Saikyou was the current generation Demon King. Even though the Demon King is famous for his evil, Hero is his close friend, and that's why the Demon King tries to protect the hero. Fiona can tell because she used her powers repeatedly to meet him as a child. She believes Saikyou is a person who is willing to use his powers for the sake of others even though he knows there is destruction waiting for him. Now Onmyouji must leave the academy and will fight as an adventurer alongside Saikyou and others. And that is the end of the video. Remember to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time.